Hello and welcome back to Hammond's Upholstery. It's a bit chilly in the workshop today, but I've got in a bit early today, so it's just about 7 o'clock. Not to worry, got a cup of tea on the go. There you go. So we're back on with these two wing chairs. As you saw in the last video, we got both of them up to this level here with the blue denim fabric on the arms, inside wings and outside wings, and we got this portion of the facing on the wings done. So I decided that we were going to put a sprung seat in it instead of the webbing that was there, and the back is having a full back in it, not deep buttoned. Some people refer to it as chest fielding. I don't think it's chest fielding, it's deep buttoned. So we need to crack on with this. So give you an idea of what we're aiming for. Is the one that I did earlier. So there you go. That one's now completed. Hopefully it shows up well enough on the video to give you an idea. Around a bit. So that's what we're aiming for, and this is where we're at currently. So I'll cover this one back up and we'll crack on with this. But first off, I need to tighten up the webs in the back and put a piece of foam in the centre, and then we've got a piece of foam in the centre, and then we've got the back foam itself, and then have a low lux bond on it. I'll get this covered back up and we'll crack on with this chair here. Hopefully have it done in the next few hours, certainly today, because I want to get it back to the customer as soon as possible. And as always, get paid. So we'll be back very soon. So let's get this canvas unpicked. So just unpick this webbing and tighten that back up. Nothing much wrong with the webbing. This canvas. Possibly was never even put on that tight to start with. Staples in this bit. So I will crack on with this inside back. I'll get this webbing off and tightened and get the canvas tightened up. We'll come back to you when I'm stuffing the back up, I think. Okay, so we'll be back shortly. Okay, right, so let's get this. It's filler foam, puts a little bit of a dome in the back instead of it being very flat. Put glue on there. Pull the canvas nice and tight now on the webbing. Press it back there. pillar here. Big gap head. So on with the 3-inch medium density back frame. Don't want anything too back firm. We're not sitting on it, only leaning against it. And we need to cut. I've cut these shoulders out of the foam so it sits flatter here. Slightly down at the bottom, and then we'll give it a layer of Lux Bond over the top of it. Once I've cut the top edge, as you can see, I'm going to pop this down here. Top of the back is so we need to cut the foam. We're cutting the foam so it just sits on the top of this rail here. We don't want it coming over this edge and creating all sorts of lumps. We'll bring the Lux Bond over the outside back edge. So pull that down. Mark it. Now we can cut that off. For those that want to know, what I'm using here is 1/2 of my foam saw blade, but you could use a coarse hacksaw blade, will do the same job. Or a bit of whole bandsaw blade do the same job. Get that down, staple that edge on the top edge. And as normal, always run out of staples at the wrong time. That'll give us a nice edge. Once I put the low Lux Bond over, hopefully that piece of Lux Bond I've got here is long enough to do the job. It is. Bristles, so I can staple the bottom edge of this Lux Bond off. Whilst at that end, I will mark the centre of the back. Put it back on the floor. Well, also that's one down. Gives us a nice roll to the bottom edge. Again, this would have been more difficult if we'd left the webbing or springs in the seats. It's not impossible to do. It's a bit more tricky. The fact that the webbing was knackered. Poor choice from the manufacturer. Should have used springs. Like this one down the side. Pull that over in a minute. Centre at the bottom marked off. So I make sure that the pattern on the fabric is centralised. Easiest way to find the centre on the back is to go off the frame rails. So I'm going to mark, get the inside back on there. The inside back. There's the inside back. Upside down. There's the inside back. I've already marked the back of this fabric. I don't recommend using a marker pen yourself unless you're certain that the marker is not going to rip through the fabric. So that's going to be fine. Now, to make sure that the pattern is the same on each chair in the same position at the back, you don't want the two chairs side by side. And the customer looking at thinking one pattern's higher than the other. So I have a reference point on the top that I did on the other chair, and I will do the same on this one. Pull it down to the bottom. I'd normally start from the bottom, but I've got to make sure this pattern matches. And the easiest place to get the reference point is using this rail. Lux one over, right to the bottom of that rail, fabric's coming right over. That will get used facings. I need to mark the centre again. Use the frame rail. There's the centre. There's one from that side as well. And there you go. That's our centre mark. So I'll just check. I think it's the sunflower, if I remember rightly. No, it's the rose. The pink rose. Give it a spray with silicone just to aid the fabric to slide over the Lux bond. Pink rose is here. Show you a bit better. I think this pink rose is the centre. And the top of my fabric goes to the top of that rail. Got the staples in there. And then we'll pull it down to the bottom. So I will get this inside out. back to you when we're on with the seats, so that shouldn't be too long now. Okay, so that's the inside backing. As you can see, that's all stapled off, finished on the back. The outside back's pulled off. It's gone on nice, so that's the inside back. So the seats next. So like I said earlier, we spring these seats. There's all sorts of different types of springs, but generally for seating on this sort of thing, we're going to use these zigzag. They're 9 gauge seat springs. You get lighter weight ones for backs and so on. So these are the seat springs, and they're held in place, or I use these spring clips here. Okay, so that sits in there. That end is then knocked down, and a big 1-inch staple is put through that, so they're not going anywhere. So let's get these springs on, and then we can canvas the seats, and we can get the seats done. Sometimes these spring clips can be a bit temperamental. You might get 1 or 2 that bend over or don't fit right. I see it quite a lot when I'm recovering stuff where the manufacturers have used it, and there's a staple, the main staple that's used to close the clip and hold it, will be damaged on installation. A lot of the time they don't even to replace it. That's what happens when you've got people working on piecework, I guess. Not to say that everybody on piecework doesn't care about the quality of their work. I used to work on piecework. I'm just using some standard staples just to attach these to the frame, so I can put the springs on per se. So I start with the back, just hook these through onto the clip, like to have the springs all facing the same way, so when I cut them, they're all going to match in length and therefore tension. I quite often get people with chairs, sofas and so on saying, oh, the springs need replacing in my seat. Well, there isn't really much of a way to tell visually whether they do, other than broken springs or they have kinks in. So the more point being is springs either broken or they're working. You can't really put more tension in them, because then you're going to be opening yourself up to causing fractures or breaking them. So it's very hard with springs. People say they've got snap, possibly because they were never put in under a great deal of tension to begin with, and after time, when the companies don't use a canvas and they use very soft foams, the first point of call would be to change the foam on the cushions. Jump to the conclusion that it's the springs that are at fault. So this is the framing gun with, in this case, 1-inch staples, which I'm using to close and final fix, so to speak. Staples in, and there we go. 4 out of 5, one of them has rectify that. It amazes me companies when I see that they just pull springs over. Cut to length. So to cut them to length, just use some bolt croppers. Cut them in the middle of the loop because you want part of the loop to remain, because that stops the spring from sliding out of the clip. If you cut them on a straight edge, you risk the spring being able to wiggle its way out. I will attempt to show you this in a second. Grab the camera and show you what I mean. So there you go. So this is what I'm on about, the return on the lead. Keep this loop on, the tail on it, because when this gets stapled down, it means the spring can't come out of the clip left to right. Okay, so just going to tap these down and staple them now. So there's spring clips in. I'll show you what I mean by how the nails come out. Sometimes you'll see them do that and they'll leave them like that, not sort it out. That's with the staple roughly in the middle of this rail. If you get them too close to this edge, under the tension, they can pull out and damage the frame. So try and get the staples in the centre and the clips closed down nicely. So I'll just replace that one. And then we'll get on with canvassing the seat, which I have a bit of fabric here. As you know, in previous videos, I used the remnants rather than buying the canvas in. We will put a tie in, which is from left to right, excuse me, just tied round these springs to help support the spring, so when you're sitting in the middle or whatever, it spreads the tension a little bit better over the whole spring base and stops them from going side to side. So I'll tie them in, canvas them, and then we can get on with putting the foam back into them. So this is the sisal string that we're just going to tie across the middle, staple it to the frame here. And just tie it round the loop. Same with the next one. Right way across. Like I say, it just gives a connection between the springs so they work more in unison. You'll see it a lot more on coil sprung seats, where we would tie them in on the bottom, middle and the top. Now, canvas. So just a remnant of fabric. You could even use old fabric you've ripped off furniture if you want. I'm not sure the durability on reusing old fabric, so to speak, or used fabric, but it's certainly better than no canvas. And so many of these companies opt for no canvas. Yes, it takes a few minutes to install it, but it gives you a much better seat or back, whatever you're using it on. And durability. Springs do their job, move up and down, wearing through the foam and the foam falling through the seats. It also makes it harder for these people that go around doing seat repairs in customers' houses, basically just removing the bottom cloth and stuffing some into the bottom of the sofa on top of the springs. If you want it to last a couple of months, maybe a year, then do that. I think that's what these companies rely on, as people just wanting it to last a little bit longer before they either replace it, or the fact is that in a year's time when it really needs doing again, they can't get in touch with the person, or don't feel that they can get in touch with the person because they feel they got the job done. Do job once, do it right. Replace a seat foam on a seat cushion seat. You need to replace it really, and that involves taking the seat out to do it. Can't do it on the underside because it never works on the underside. Same as the springs, they sit on top of the rail, not underneath the rail, which some people do. Attempt a replacement of springs from the underside of the frame, and I've seen them attached them with cable ties, bits of wire, bits of string, and then disappearing. So if one person is quoting you £300 to do the seat, and the next person is quoting you £90 to do the seat, there's potential there that it's not the £90 one that's being honest with you. Somebody says they've got, if you're turns around and says they've got to take the seat out to do the job properly, there's a reason for it. Anyway, so that's the canvas on. Excuse me, waffling whilst I'm doing the canvas. That's canvas. Here's the old foam. Absolute overkill. They used here on the foam for the seat, and you can see the old webbing marks on it. You see what happens? That's why they've used really thick foam. It's because it's a crap way of doing it. No canvas, and the foam is starting to cut through. So because we've put canvas on it, we are actually able just to use that foam in it, because it doesn't need to be that thick. So the fact that the foam is crushed is not an issue. We'll place it, instead of having the front edge at the front edge like it was, we'll spin it round, so we've got the edge that was underneath frame that's never had any real wear onto the front edge. Yes, could replace it, but I don't personally think there's anything wrong with this piece of foam here to reuse it. So we'll attach it the same way as it was done by the manufacturers. So this was just cleaned on the edge here. There's no edge roll. Okay, so that's the seat foam in now with its Lux Bond. Now to get the seat in. To get this in the same position as the other seat and therefore get the seat board in matching is the plan. It should be no problem at all because both seats are cut exactly the same. So long as I position it in the same place, we should get it looks like the sunflower on the edge there. I'll just check on the other chair. Yeah, and that's where that needs to be. So we do want to get it centralised, so I'll mark that. Okay. Let's get that in. Just mark the fabric as well. I'll just mark the fabric and I'll be back in a second. There's the centre one. So simple steps of marking things, and so I'll make sure that we get our pattern centralised and matching our other chair. We've got two chairs to consider we're working on here. The reason we've got a black lining on the back portion of this seat is no more than a cost saving, fabric saving exercise, because this is an expensive fabric. We don't want to be covering the entire seat when it's just going to be underneath the cushion all the time. So that's the reason behind that. If it was a cheaper fabric, I may just as well go right over the seat with the fabric, but not with this one. Then again, I suppose what you deem as an expensive fabric is down to the individual. This particular fabric retails approximately £75 a metre, UK sterling that is. So if you want to do the conversion yourself, go ahead. It might give you an idea of a reason why the customers only had parts of this particular chair done in this fabric, and the fact that I think the contrast looks nice. So I've made the cuts to go behind the side rails, keeping the pattern centralised. Before I pull the front of the seat off, I'm going to tuck the back through and staple the back off, because I want to pull a bit of tension in the fabric towards the front so it doesn't distort the pattern. I need to get the back portion stapled off. So my battery's not looking particularly good on my phone at the moment, so you get the idea. You need to make the cuts to get this down here, and then that's the insides of the chair done. The outsides are just the outside wings, which are already done. So it's the outside arms, the facings and the outside back that I'll be back with you next. You can join me once I've got the chair on the floor to do the outside arms. So outside arms, let's get these on. My microphone's about to die. I'm not having very much luck with batteries today. So I put the chair on the floor because it's easier for me to work on the floor. doing this. So we're stapling along this rail underneath the arm, making sure that we're going to cover the other staples. Use a bit of cardboard back tacking strip. Sorry, I've got my back to you, but no, this is what it is. So, a couple of staples, get the cardboard into position, cut off what isn't needed. And then a nice line of staples along the top edge of the cardboard, close to the edge of the cardboard as you can get it. Staple with minimal gaps between it. There we go. So now put a few bits of the 1/4 inch foam on the edges. Fabric over, starting with the middle, give it a good tug in the middle. Then that to the left, pulling at that angle, staples along there towards the front. Legs. Under, nice folded edge along there, pull it tight. This originally had lots of the nails along edges, around legs, etc., which is decorative 9 times out of 10. Sometimes I put them on to make life a bit easier in places. People did the nailing originally on this. Well, let's say I wouldn't have been happy with it because that nail on the polish work of the leg. I don't want to put nails back in to hide their original nailing, so I'm going to have to do a little bit of remedial work to touch up the damaged polish, but I can do that once the chair will do it. check both of the chairs over before delivery. Check that polish over and touch up where it's necessary. I think this now being fabric, you don't want to go overboard with detailing on it. Right, so that's the outside arm on. Simple as that when you've had 30 plus years experience. So facing next, already done one side, so I'm sure you can see from the picture there. Now I've got to do this facing. So I'm just going to use some Lux Bond for the facing, and of course the fabric. The fabric I will fold the edges over, don't want any raw edges. You could use foam for this. I just prefer to use Lux Bond. I twist it into a rope, and when I staple it, it hides the staples nicely. And of course, it's flexible. It's facing, start with the bottom edge, fold the bottom edge, fold the inside edge, staple it same distance from the edge as the other arm. Tight, staple there. The inside edge is nice and straight, so keep it straight. Cut the fabric straight, so I'm just folding it straight up to this edge, and this is up to the point where it starts to become the top of the P. Salvage off, fold the edge over so it comes up to the edge of the chair. Putting the fabric in, don't want any raw edges. It's fiddly the first few times you do this, but if you take time to get this right, it makes the nailing a lot easier. Again, now I'm doing the P, I'm cutting the top into P shape, using the arm as a reference. Apologies if you can't see what's going on, I no doubt you can't. I've only got one pair of hands, no budget for a camera crew. So I will show you. Once I put this staple in, what the aim was to achieve. Let's show you. So that's one that's nailed. That's one before it's nailed. There you go. So all the edges are folded in. So we've got no problems with fading or it coming off. So we just need to nail it like that. Put the outside back on. Check the seat fits. And away we go. So I'll get that facing nailed. Then crack on with the outside back, and I'll come back to you when I'm nailing the outside back so you can see how we do the nailing at that point. Okay, so that's it. Okay, so that's pretty much the outside back done. Let's show you some nailing. I've done 90% of the nailing, but I've been asked to a bit more detail about the nailing if I can. So I'll attempt to do that. These are loose nails, not strip nails that you see on a lot of cheap furniture, pub furniture, that sort of thing. These are all put in individually, one after the other. As for spacing, they're touching, so there's no real spacing. So here we go. Just hold a few in your hand, one after the other. Tap it in. That done. So that's that nailed. Doesn't take long. Like everything else I say when you've been doing it, as long as I have. I'll get the chairs or chair spun round so you can have a look at the finished chair now. There you have it. Finished chair. The other one's over here, just to prove it that there's two matching chairs. There's the other one. So let's take a quick walk round and show you what we've got. So we've come from the gentleman style deep button back Georgian wing chair to something a bit more contemporary, a bit more modern. Smashing fabrics. Chair may have been a little bit over the top if it was all done in that fabric, so they saved some money having the blue denim fabric, and I think it emphasises the fabric on the back more. So let's just take a quick look round. I've got to check it over, touch the legs up, the polish on the legs, just where the previous manufacturers had put the nails halfway down the leg. I'm exaggerating a bit, but a long way down the leg. You'll notice there a reflection from the camera. The back is looking lighter to the seat, but I assure you they're the same fabrics. If I stand the seat up, you'll see what I mean. There you go. It's just the way that the fabrics react to the camera. So there you have it. Lovely pair of wing chairs. I think that's it for this one. You've seen us in two parts completing these chairs. As always, these videos are just for entertainment, not necessarily instructional, but if you pick up any tips along the way, that's great. I hope you enjoy them. I'll keep putting the content out there as and when I can, but I do have to get some furniture out the door as well as doing this. Purely do the YouTube because it's something I enjoy doing, passing on a little bit of knowledge to people to understand a bit more about what they're asking for when they come in and say, can you just cover this for me? Okay, so once again, thanks again for watching. Hope you enjoy this, and I'll see you in the next one. Cheerio for now. Bye bye.